Hey everyone, I hope you enjoy the ACME laboratory. When I was young, I used to watch a lot of those and I love it. Laboratory. But anyway, the sumptioning of the expertise is to actually realize its ordering system of each port even. Because in a way in and a way out, the program of a digital color is fading in or fading out into the program of test 348 and test 346, which is an interlude of data core. The interlude of data core is the marking material, is an over timer to also sumption into any area of inclusion and data core, the component of its core. Mapping the condition of measurement or mapping the condition of police army is to share the relationship and to build the technology into the four rule. The four rule is the monetary exchange rate, the Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit in relation to Pinksy. Pinksy is a compound of a position and also to data core, the composition of a transformation. The transformation is a digital world of interlude technology and data core. You can cut some of these vegetable in relation to the development of envelope technology. Because the envelope technology is ambushing itself into the core racks of 3381 and 3386, which is the guardian to share off and also to encore, encore, the peripheral. In relation to the encore, the compound of component is area 55.3 and 55.6, which is an evening order of digital world. The digital world is the interlude of technology and data core, the compound of 4438 and 4439. That should be enough, which is a police sharing into a digital cool world. Half an onion. Once you even out the data core, the full core, or the composition of a timer can also be pinning out into the childhood. Each childhood is the understanding of a program and data core, the compound of the police guard, and develop the technology in the correct. No more. Once you even out the planet, each planet is an interlude of your technology and also to query, the codex. When you query the codex, you can also have the PM39 and the PM48, which is a divider to police share the relationship and to map the condition of Porku. Porku is a purple wave of the sunburst in 2.8 monocon. Before someone developed this galaxy. In time, when I tell you a story about who developed the galaxy, you may share your documentary because in return, the police sharing the convision of, this is for my dogs, wait a minute. Convision of in kind of way, you can also data core. Thank you. Have a bit, one more. Leave on the plate. Put this in the fridge. Once you share the network of area 56, you can also sumption into the ordering of expertise and to realize the functioning of its order. Once you realize its function of the order, you can also sumption into a Kulu. Based upon the work capacity of maturity, you need to understand the opening. Once you understood the opening, you can timeshare yourself into the data core of the network and also to police share the divider and also to summation into the expertise and to realize the decimal of AA36 and AA41, which is ambushing itself into the corrects of .341 and .326 and .341 complexity, .241 and .245 and .346 and .241, .289 and .286 and .285, which is good in relation to the brain power. No, the common word is the brain power, right? But you need to ask psychiatrists, doctor psychiatrists, in relation to how to build the codex and also to decode a certain amount of income protection and to share into the police development of your technology by Noon 83 and Noon 84, which is an out fund of self. The an out fund itself is a complexity of a message and to also share the one-on-one and two-on-four, which is the developer of technology and coring into the police relationship and guard the development of technology. Once you fade in and fade out into the developer, you need to outburst the sum of A346 and A341, which is a compound of a posture. You can get satay in the other fridge and put this in a bowl, 1 tablespoon or 2 tablespoons. Once you do that, you are sharing the network of area 2 and area 5 in relation to your developer and also to summation into the brotherhood. The brotherhood is based upon the fund sharing of PISTA and also to share the knowledge engine. To do so, the complexity of network is ordering system 2384 and 2386, which is a message from compliance. The message from compliance is the way you work and also to outburst the sum of rounds and also to summation into the overseas massive gas and to network into a compla. In that way, when you do that, you are ordering the system of of 8243 and 8321, which is a composition of a timer, and also to summation into the expertise and to realize the decimal of 8836 and 8841. This is another day, which is a convert of a transfer. The convert of a transfer is to understand the alignment of time and also to summation into the overseas guests and to weigh in the position of a timer and also to understand the node of the AA. The node of the AA is a transmission of data core. Because when you have the transmission of the data core, the understanding of the police career is also to understand the injection of 33 engine in relation to the cylinder properly, transfer fee. Once you do that, you are ordering the system of apron and also to share into the apexity. Once you share into the apexity, the understanding of convert is to outburst the data core. When you outburst the data core, the composition, you can cut these, is a time mode system of area 243 and area 241, which is docking into a transfer reaction feed. Transfer reaction feed is a composition of a timer, and also to understand the A-prime. Once you understood the A-prime, the transition of the element, you can also pin out the correx in relation to docking 341 and docking 345, 6 applique, and also sumptioning into A-plane. Once you feel the A-plane, you need to understand the component of area 55.2 and area 55.6, which is a sumptioning of expertise, and to realize digital core. Digital core is a composition of a transfer feed here, and also to order 6 wave and 6 off and 6 funds and 6 1 and 6 10 and 6 1 and 6 2 and 6 5 and 6 6 and 6 10 and 6 8 and 6 9 and 6 3 and 6 1 and 6 5 and 6 6 and 6 5 and 6 10 and 6 8 and 6 2 and 6 1 and 6 4 6 8 6 5 6 6 6 1 dot 381 dot 285 monofiber. The monofiber is a interlude or inferior of a kukulu, or in relation to the composition of the area. Any area that you oversees the gas, you will also perhaps the composition of a timer, and also to understand the posture. I'm cooking this for my dog with steamed rice. Sometimes I cook fried rice. Sometimes I just give him steamed rice. Just stir fry veggie and leftover stuff like that. So once you understood the area of expertise, you can also digital color before Rex in relation to dime. Each dime that you go, you will also fade in and fade out into the program of 6 teleport. When you do that, 6 teleport is understanding of life and based upon the inflow of technology. Once you work out the data core, good, of a message, you can also program into the heat wave next time. Once you understood the heat wave, the composition of area, you can also sumption into the ordering system of expertise, and to realize the decimal of AA41 and AA36, which is float, visibility, Z index 3349 and 3343 in relation to CSS 348 and CSS 24835, complexity 3982, 4185, 4862, 2184, complexity 4129, 4182, 4156 and 4184, complexity 55.10, 29.84 and 29.483, complexity 55.10, 29481, 29485, 29487, complexity 25.10, 2.481 and 2.586. Hot plate, of course the chef knows how to do this. But anyway, when you have the heat wave, I will share you the story how to develop the engine in relation to rockets and to fade out into the planet moon, to divert into a assumption or something in that way. I'm nearly finished for today. In some way, you need to work out the digital color and also to aping the time sharing of expertise and to divert into a holder. If that is evening out into the data core, the composition of a timeshare, you will work out the math condition of portals. Each portal that you design, you will be Consharing itself into the correct, no. The decimals, no. Fundings, no. Assumption, no. Ordering system, no. Timer, no. Component, no. Overseas guest, no. 1-on-1 to redevelop 2-on-3 284. Perhaps no. Dinner time, yes. In that way, this for my dogs. Once you work out the data core, you will also position yourself into a non-element of the inflow technology, and also to unburn yourself into the decimal of Fate 831 and Fate 841 based upon aplexicity. Aplexicity is a network of 8831 and 8836, which is a dog define or something in relation to your development. Once you share the network of area 53.8 and area 55.6, the network of 1-on-1 is a subdivider of a transfer. The subdivider of a transfer is an open or 1-on-1 to develop the technology. Hey, do you want to stir this up for the dogs? Once you have achieved the non-program of element 24, yes, 24 fee, you need to understand the transition mode. Once you understood the transition mode, the 1-on-1, can you mix this up for the dogs? Is a conclusion of wine 348 and wine 348, conversion of wine 346 and conversion of wine 2485, conversion of wine 2182, conversion of wine 1128, conversion of wine 8821, conversion of wine 1824, rework capacity, network area 2, area 6, dot sum into assumption of ordering. Once you share the network, yes, stir for dogs. Don't feed them yet, it's too hot. You can also assumption into the ordering system of the aplexicity. The aplexicity is depending on your reminder and also to align yourself into its injection. Any injection that you have, you will fade into a protocol. The protocol is the network of area 2 and area 6. Once you share the area of 3486 and 3481, which is a dime of 2241 and 2246. The complexity of the injection will also share into the network of area 8341 and area 8346, which is the map condition of POSTA 1284 and 1281, which is ambushing itself into A346 and A341. The complexity of the network will be varying 55.3 and 55.6 in relation to foreign hell. Foreign hell? Foreign. Not really. The complexity of a non-compound, you will need to data core. Yes, data core the fluorex. When you data core the fluorex, the understanding of the composition, you can also oversee the guess. Hey Gary, you want to stir this? In relation to your development of technology and also non-element of the timer. Be careful, it slips. 1-on-1 is a subdivider and also to intake itself into the data core. The data core is the complexity of the apron, and to understand the network of area 5 and area 6, which is a compound of area 2 and area 1. The complexity of the network is to order physical color. If it will slip, you've got to be careful. And also to sum into the element of the transfer fee. The element of the transfer fee is based upon the income design and also to data core the network of A5, A6, A3, A1 and A2, A4, which is the complexity of a compound and to position yourself into the core. Each core you will fade in and fade out into the complexity of the network and to include the data core reps. The data core reps is a time of and time 1 and time 3 and time 4 based upon the detection. Detection is a compound of area 3248 and area 3246, which is a compound of complexity and network into area 2438 and area 5546. What are you shaking your head for? Which is a composition of the data core. The data core is a compound of A341 and A345, which is an injection of police sharing for the 4x. Conversion of the 4x is a timer and also to understand the node A31 and node A46. No. No, leave it. Based upon the data core of a composition, the understanding of life is based on technology. No, leave it. What is this got of this? You don't even know how to cook. An understanding of life. Once you understood the core, the bounds of the element will also alpha, the non-genuine for the tarot card. Something like that. In develop of the info node, the technology will also correct itself into the Apache and to rewrite the rules into mod 348 and mod 3 is going to slip 43. Once you sum the element of info technology, the data core will compound into a position of a timer and also to suction into the overseas guardianship and shed into 3348 and 3341, which is ambushing itself into the core reps of 55.9 and 55.6 based upon Apache. When you have based upon Apache, the node of AA31 and AA45 is the complexity of a posture. To understand the posture is a time element of info technology and data core, the composition of a timer, and to understand apron. Once you understood the apron, its composition will be measurable into the compliance of maturity and to understand the, be careful, can't you see it? Of 4436 and 4431, which is .825 and .836, based upon Apache, something like that, in relation to data core. The data core of the skin and the data core of the hand, you can also compound yourself into the third revision of the fifth economy. Because in time, once you share the network of the fifth economy, you will data core the next message from the compliance of maturity and to understand the opening. Once you understood the opening, the transmission of path 841 and path 826 is a composition of area 52.8 and area 55.6. To understand the CORI, code 32841, AGF341, code 54615, code 34648, code 12643, code 84162, code 84162, Apache, no. Rewrite rules, no. Compliance, funding, no. Deletion, no. Data core, thinking, psychologically, compound of area 53.1 and 53.6 based upon Apache. Yes. In time, once you share the network of Apache, you can also function into the expertise and you realize the decimal of 2281 and 2246. In time, once you share the network of area 2 and area 59, the complexity of message can also be positioning itself into the data core. When you have the data core, the compliance of its maturity is to understand the aplex. Once you understood the aplex, you can also grid 8341 and 2489, which is a sharing material into the compliance of its understanding of cycle. Once you understood the cycle, the compliance of its maturity is to understand the area of interests. And each interest that you function, you can also align yourself into the next aplex. The next aplex is a working capacity of network of area 2 and area 5. In that way, once you compound yourself into the cortex, the understanding of love is a composition of a timer and also to summation into area 3208 and area 2306 and Apache, the mod rewrite rules. In that way, once you have the mod rewrite rules, you will summation into the next apply. The next apply is a network of E321 and E326. Yum. Which is area 2 and area 6. Ba ơi, nấu cái này ngon lắm. Once on time, once you work out the complexity, sorry, of the timer, you can also summation into the area of expertise and to also order the next API or in relation to your development. If you can grid the system in relation to the developer, the inflow technology will also summation into the overseas guests and grid the A341 and grid the A246. In that way, once you develop the inflow of technology, the data core will be compounding itself into area 3 and area 5, which is a piston of 3381 and 2486. Dot 543 and dot 246, dot 125 and dot 128, dot 284 and dot 983, dot 286 and dot 389, dot 281 and dot 183, dot 284 and dot 185. Complexity of injection into formula A341 and formula A346 and formula 8584 and formula 55.3 and formula 56.526481 and formula 55.10 4821 2862 4849 and formula 55.3 2148 184 1185 and 2 aplexy. Grounding the floor, the understanding of life is the wisdom of area, because in return home, once you guard the development of technology, you will uncorrect the digital world. Once you function the digital world, you can also oversee the timer in relation to your development of technology and data core, the aplexy. Once you data call the Eplexi, you can also compound the next area code and to summation into A3 and to comply with his understanding of love without the complexity. Once you share or without complexity, you can also composite yourself into the data call of 1-on-1 and 2-on-5, which is a summon of A341 and summon of A456, summon A541 and summon A456, summon 2489 and summon 4818, summon 2841 and summon 2841, summon 2846 and summon 5431, summon 4831 and summon 4849, summon 5831 and summon 4856, summon 4841 and summon 4856, summon 4841 and summon 4841, summon 2543 and summon 4518, summon 4561 and summon 2843, summon 4184 and summon 2589, summon 3583 and summon 3583, summon 2485 and summon 25108, summon 2984 and summon 2818, summon 4161 and summon 1824, summon 5183 and summon 2489, summon 4831 and summon, you want to set the table up? 2483, summon 4510-4, summon 4986, summon 5181, summon 4318, summon 2583, summon 2841, summon 2586, summon 2984, Julian soy sauce, summon 3813 and summon 3984, summon 2183, summon 843, summon 3841, summon 4181, summon 1841, summon 4829, summon 2156, summon 4318, summon 4313, summon 4946, summon 4108, summon 4843, summon